is this charge q1, and this q1 is actually having some force associated with q2. Okay, and what happens, considering that q1 is fixed? Okay, this q1 is fixed. Okay, so what is it going to do to q2? It is going to push it away. So the force will be in which direction? This direction. Now if I say that q1 has pushed q2 from this point to this point, q2 has been pushed from this point, or repelled, in other words, from a small distance dr. Okay, what can we say about it? The force is in which direction? The force I have mentioned here in green, that is in this direction. And looking at this, see, I'll tell you one thing. Where is the potential, and at what point is the potential energy more, and at what point the potential energy is less in the distances of q2? See, look here. Whenever you bring a charge, okay, two like charges close to each other, it's like bringing, it's like compressing a spring. And so when you compress a spring, the potential of energy of the spring, what happens? It increases or decreases? Give me a quick response. It increases or
Increases.
decreases? It increases. So similarly, if q2 is near q1, where is the potential energy more? Here, no? Okay, potential energy of q2 is more at this point, and as it goes away, it is going to reduce. Okay, as it goes away, it's going to reduce. But okay, so potential energy is increasing towards q1. Potential energy is increasing towards q1. But what is q1 doing? Q1 is doing work on which side? Q1 is doing work towards q2. Okay, q1 is doing work towards q2. It's throwing q2 on the other side. So that is why potential energy is equal to negative of the work done, and this work is called conservative force. Why is it called conservative force? If you take a ball and you throw it at a certain if you throw it with a certain velocity, what is going to happen? There's going to be kinetic energy associated with it, and it is going to have a zero potential energy. But as it goes up, and as it keeps going up, at one point, okay, as it goes up at a certain distance h, okay, as it goes up, what is going to happen over here? The kinetic energy will become zero and potential energy will become maximum. Okay, so that is what means conservation of energy. Okay, so in the same way, I have written that the work done is conserved. Okay, it is conserved, it is converting from one form to the other. That is all you need to understand. Okay, that is all you need to understand. Yesterday also I had explained that same thing. Now work done is what? Force into displacement, isn't it? Force into displacement. And we know the force between two charges is going to be what? K q1 q2 upon r square. K q1 q2 upon r square. So I have just substituted that over here. Du is equal to K q1 q2 upon r square into dr. Okay, into dr, because what is going to be variable? R is variable. Okay, if I want to find u, I have to integrate du, and so I'll get K q1 q2 as constants. What remains is integration of 1 upon r square. What is the integration of 1 upon r square? No response. Okay, what you will get finally is, see, look here, you're
Minus
getting,
1 upon
yeah,
1.
I will take integration of du from u1 to u2, and k q1 q2 are constants, and I will take integration of, okay, I will take integration of r from a distance of r1 to r2. Okay, and what it is 1 upon r square. So dr, so I will get what? I will get K q1 q2. Okay, integration of 1 upon r is minus 1 by r. Okay, from a distance of r1 to r2. Okay, is this clear? Okay, so now what you will get, I'll just rub it off this top portion. What you will get? You get u1 minus wait, what you'll get? u2 minus u1. u2 minus u1 equals to what? K q1 q2 into 1 upon r2 minus r1. Okay, you will get 1 upon r2 minus r1. Now I had explained yesterday that I will take a reference point. potential energy is basically defined as the change. Just now there's a potential energy means what? You're trying to find out the change in the energy. That is the meaning of potential energy. That is why it is defined as a change only in its definition as well. So I will take a reference. I will take a reference. How do I take a reference? I will say that if R1 is basically infinity, U1 will become 0. And if I substitute this, okay, at R1 at infinity, 1 upon R1 is 0. So that means U1 is 0. And so I can say that U is equal to KQ1 Q2 upon R. Okay, KQ1 Q2 upon R. This is the definition of potential energy. Okay, this is the definition. So one thing I can tell you is, can a point charge itself have a potential energy? Can a point charge itself have a potential energy? Yes, it can have potential energy. Okay, it can have potential energy because this is potential energy of one. Okay, of this, only this. So ultimately you can have a potential energy for one point itself. Okay, so coming back to yesterday's continuation, I will just continue that. I hope you all have understood that U is equal to K Q1 Q2 upon R. Another thing I can say is that if these two are point charges, this is important. That is why I'm doing it again. Q1 and this Q2 is being pushed away. Okay, Q2 is being pushed away. So I can say by the formula that du is equal to minus dw conservation. Okay, but one thing, look here, the force on Q2 due to Q1 is in this direction. Okay, the force on Q2 is in this direction, and if I have to place, and okay, it's in this direction, let's see, and let's call this Fe, force of electrostatic force. And if I have to bring Q2 close to Q1, okay, without any force, without applying any force, or without experiencing a force due to Q1, what I will just do is I will put an external force here in the same direction, which is equal to Fe, and this I will write as F external. Again, I'm repeating, in order to bring Q2 close to Q1, okay, without experiencing a force from Q1, slowly, okay, I'm putting the term slowly, okay, slowly in such a way that it does not experience a force. I can just pick it up and put it at any point till it feels no force. I can pick it out of the system and put it anywhere in between without experiencing a force if my F external is equal to Fe. So I will write Fe is basically equal to F external in magnitude. In magnitude. And I also can write that Fe is equal to minus F external in direction. Okay, because they are opposite. They are opposite to each other. So what I can say is, if du is equal to minus dw conservative force, I can write it as this. I can write it as equal to what? I can write it as minus Fe dot dr. Conservative work done by conservative force can be written as work done into displacement. Displacement is dr because work done is dw. Okay, and what I will get is basically, I know that minus Fe is what? Minus Fe can be written as F external. Okay, so I will write F external. 1 minute. External dot dr. And so F external dot dr can be written as what? The work done by external force. Okay, is this clear? Has everyone understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any doubt? Okay, so finally I can say that du is basically equal to minus dw conservation, and which is also equal to dw external. So this is an important thing. Important to understand that du is going to be equal to minus dw external, conservative force, which is also equal to work done by external force. Okay, this you should remember because we'll be using this in many derivations. Okay. Now, yesterday's topic was what? We brought 3-point charges. This was only for 2-point charges. Now, if I bring Q, there is Q1 over here, there is Q2 over here, and there is a third charge over here, Q3. Okay. I want to bring Q, these all three are at infinity. When I bring Q1 at a middle, when I bring Q1 to a point in the middle, will that make a difference? It won't make a difference. Okay. Without any force, I can bring it because it's not experiencing a force from Q2, neither Q3 because they are at infinity. So I can write the first term as 0 because potential energy in bringing Q1 from here to here is not going to change. It's going to be 0. Okay. Now the second thing, when Q1 is already reached here and I'm bringing Q2 over here, definitely it's going to have an increase in potential energy, increase or decrease, whatever. It is going to have some potential energy. So I will get what?
Yes, sir.
I will get U1, 2. That is potential energy on 1 due to 2. Okay, I'm considering the potential energy at 1 right now. So if I'm bringing Q2 right now towards Q1, the potential energy of 1 due to 2 is U1, 2. Okay, and now once Q2 is reached here, okay, then if I have to bring Q3 near it, what is going to happen? It is going to experience a force from what? From Q1 also. It is going to experience a force from Q3 also. Both are going to apply a force on it. So I can write that there is going to be a potential energy on 1 due to 3, and I can write there is going to be a potential energy on this 2 also due to 3. Is this clear? Is this clear? So ultimately, to bring one charge, I'm getting one term. To bring two charges, okay, I'm getting two terms. So ultimately, look here, the numbers are like this: 0 in bringing one charge in the point, okay. Then I will bring another charge close to it, I get one term. Then I get the third charge to it, I'll get two terms. Similarly, if I keep getting charges, I will get some n terms. Okay, so the number of terms. Okay, sir, why again? What is the doubt? Sir, why not potential energy of 3 due to 1? Okay, I'm considering right now. You can take that also. Okay, there's a doubt over here. See, listen to me. You can take potential energy of 3 due to 1 also. Okay, no problem. But right now, I'm just considering the potential energy on 1. I'm just considering the potential energy on 1. Okay, so that we can prove something right now. Of course, there's going to be potential energy on 3 also due to 1. No problem in that. But right now for this, I'm going to consider the potential energy on 1 due to other charges. Okay. I hope that is clear. Just give me a reply on that so I'll understand that you understood it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, your microphone is muted.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry that
Yes, sir.
happened. I don't know what happened. Okay. What I meant is in bringing Q1, in bringing one charge, I'm getting 0 terms. In getting two charges, I'm going to get one term. In getting third charge in the presence of two charges, I'm going to get two terms. And similarly, and so on. You can increase the number of terms. And so ultimately, we can come to a result that the number of terms in bringing n number of particles together can be written as n into n minus 1 upon 2. N into n minus 1 upon 2. So if I tell you that there are 4 charges, okay, remember this, the number of terms is n into n minus 1 upon 2. Let's do one small thing. Okay, let's consider 4 charges. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and all are at a distance of A. They are all in the shape of a square. Okay, although it might not look like a square, it is a square. They are all A. Now, tell me how many terms are going to be there? How many terms are going to be there? We know the formula for number. Yes, yes. N into n minus 1 upon 2. So I will get how many charges, how many point charges are there? 4 are there. So I will put that 4 into 4 minus 1 upon 2. That will give us 6 terms. 6 terms. But what? Tell me the 6 terms now. Tell me the 6 terms. What is going to be the potential energy on first touch?
0.
No. Now I'm saying that I'm bringing all to. I'm bringing them. I've brought them together. Now tell me the potential energy. 6 terms are there. What is going to be the potential energy of 1 due to 2?
Q1,
K,
Q2
Q1,
upon
Q2 by R. Sorry, A.
U12.
Yeah,
U12.
right. Yes. U12 is what? K Q1 Q2 upon R square. Same thing. Sorry, R. Right? K Q1 Q2 upon R. Remember, it's not R square. It is R. Okay? Don't make a mistake. Then, what is going to be the potential energy on Q1 due to Q3?
U13.
U13. What is going to be when you bring the fourth charge, the Q4? How many terms you'll get? You will get 3 terms, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I will write that down. Ultimately, what you're going to get is basically, look here, you're going to get 4 terms of K, Q upon R. K, Q square upon R. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. Can you all see? Any doubt?
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look here. So because of 4 charges, okay, you're going to get 4 terms which are KQ square upon R. Considering the fact that all charges are the same. So Q1 and Q2 I have written as Q square. And you have to also include the diagonals. What is going to be the diagonal distance? What is going to be the
2A.
yeah, under root 2. So how many terms you'll get diagonally? You'll get 2 now. You'll get 2. So I will write 2KQ square upon root 2A. Am I right?
Yes,
Am I right? Upon root 2A. So I have written it down there. So this root 2 gets cancelled. This will become root 2. So you understood? These are the number. This is what is the potential energy of all the 4 terms. Ultimately, you can solve it down. You can take the LCM. Whatever you get, you can let me know. And this R is A. Okay, R is A. Because R, we have taken R as A. Is that understood? Any doubt? Okay, no doubt, right? Okay, we can do. Now we can go on to the next thing. Now let's understand. Till now we understood what potential energy was. Now let's understand what is the meaning of electric potential. What is the meaning of electric potential? Now look here. If we consider a system of charges, so many charges are there over here. And we are trying to find out the potential energy because of these two. Okay, potential energy we know is U. Okay, it is defined as K Q1 Q2 upon R. Am I right? We know that. So if U is the electrostatic potential, okay, of interaction of a system of charge with Q naught, okay, if the interaction between these two is going to be defined as potential energy, electrostatic potential energy, which is defined as U, which is K Q1 Q2 upon R. Then electric potential, okay, electric potential V can be defined as U upon Q naught. That is voltage. This is called voltage. Now you should you should now understand what voltage really means. Voltage actually means the potential energy upon Q naught. Potential energy upon Q naught. It is given by this. Okay, it is a scalar quantity. What is it? It's a scalar quantity. So if I tell you to find out the potential on a ring, or due to a ring, or due to a sphere, or due to anything, okay, you don't need to take components of it. It doesn't have any direction. So things are going to be quite simple if you have to find out the derivatives regarding this. Is that clear? Okay, again I'm repeating. If electrostatic potential energy, okay, defined between these two, that is a system of charges and a charge Q naught, test charge Q naught, okay, if it is defined as U is equal to K Q naught upon R, okay, then V is simply called U upon Q naught. V, voltage, is defined as electrostatic potential energy upon Q naught, which can be again taken as, what is U? What will we get if we substitute U? Okay, we will get K Q naught upon Q naught and R. So Q naught and Q naught gets cancelled. Voltage can be defined as KQ upon R. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
No? Yeah. Any doubt? Please let me know. Okay. So now we understood that V is equal to KQ upon R, and it is independent of Q naught. It is independent of Q naught. You can see here in the definition. Voltage is equal to K into the system of charges here Q upon R. That is the distance between the test charge and the system of charges. Okay, so I can write it down. That V is equal to K Q for R. U is equal to K Q1 Q2 upon R. Okay, I hope these two are clear. Don't get write down all the formulas, because that will help you. Write down all the formulas, that will help you. Okay, let's try to find out the electrostatic potential due to a uniform ring. Okay, electrostatic potential due to a uniform ring. Consider this to be a ring. And I want to find out the electrostatic potential at this point. So that means I brought a Q naught over here. I brought a test charge over here, and consider that the entire ring, okay, the entire ring has capital Q as its charge, which is distributed all over it uniformly, and it has a radius of capital R. It has a radius of capital R. See, it's going to be very easy. We need to find out the electric potential, that is V. This time it is not potential energy, it is just electric potential, or in other words, voltage. Okay, so how can we write V as? I told you V can be written as KQ upon R. KQ upon R. So dV will be equal to what? K dQ upon R. Am I right? K dQ upon R. Okay, so if I need to find out V, I have to just integrate it, and so integration of dV, which is V is equal to integration of dV, which is equal to K is constant, R is constant, integration of dV dQ. And what is integration of dQ over all the ring?
Capital Q.
Yeah, so V is finally going to be equal to KQ upon R. Which R? This R. And this R is capital R. This is the electrostatic potential Okay, at a point Q naught, which is at the center of the ring. Okay, now can you all tell me the electrostatic potential due to a ring at a point which is at x distance away? Okay, and same thing, it is having a charge of Q, the entire ring has a charge of Q and a radius capital R. Okay, can you all tell me immediately?
KQ by X.
KQ by X. Okay, quite close. But look here, listen to me. Okay, I will write by the definition. Always write both the definitions. It's okay. U, what is U defined as? U is equal to K Q naught upon R. Okay, my ink is getting over, I think. And so K Q naught upon R. And what is V as? V is defined as KQ upon R. What is going to be dV? dV is going to be equal to K dQ upon R. Tell me what is R? R is the distance between the point charge and the ring. Okay, not the axis of the ring. You're quite close, you said X. But R is the distance between the ring and the point charge. So it is going to be this.
So root under R square plus X square.
Under root R square
Root R
plus X
square
square.
plus X square.
Oh, thank God, all of you all are listening. There were no responses for so long. So, okay, anyways. So, yeah, so it is going to be capital R square plus X square. And so, if I have to find out V, V is simply integration of dV, okay, which is going to be K upon, I can write R as K dQ upon root of capital R square plus X square. I think it is not visible, but hope little bit it's visible. I can still see. Okay, so integration of dV will give you integration of K. What is constant here? This entire thing is constant. The root of R square plus X square. R square plus X square and integration of dQ. What is the integration of dQ?
Capital Q.
Capital Q. So I will write that over. Okay, so this is the electrostatic potential due to a ring, okay, at a point P. Now it was so easy. See, earlier what I told you, I had given you a ring, and I told you the point is over here. So the distance between both of this was supposed to be what? Capital R. So it was easy for you to say that V is equal to KQ upon capital R. And as soon as I increase the distance by X, is the hypotenuse value that you have to add. That's it. Root upon R square plus X square. That is what this is. Immediately. There's no need of taking vectors like this. You are taking vectors like this. Then you are finding d cos theta and all. Because this is a scalar quantity, all that is not needed. It becomes very easy to understand what volts is. Okay. Okay. So let's do a small another small example. Let's consider this to be a line of charge. Oh God. Okay, this is visible, I hope. Yeah. It's a rod of length L. Let's consider it to be a rod of length L. And there is a point over here, P, which is also at a distance of L. I have to find out, okay, the electrostatic potential at this point P due to this rod. How can I write it? I hope you are understanding this small thing. There is a point P over here, Okay, and there is a rod of length L over here. So I want to find out the electrostatic potential due to this rod, which has a charge of capital Q. Again, it has a charge of capital Q, but now it does not have a distance of R. Okay, it does not have that thing. So again, we can come to the basic definition that electrostatic potential energy, when I say energy, it is U. Okay, U is going to be equal to K capital Q in this case, and this small q over here upon R. So V is going to be what? V is going to be independent of this Q. So I will write KQ upon R, K capital Q upon R. Okay, this much you understood. Now tell me, what is R? What is R? What is the distance between the point charge and this? What is R? What is going to be the distance between this point charge and this rod?
L.
It is not exactly L. L will give you only this, no? So here we do the thing, we take an element. Okay, here we will take an element. So let's say that there is a distance of x, and at this distance x, I have taken a small element of the rod dx. Okay, I have taken a small element dx. So now, can you tell me what is going to be the distance between dx and this point? It is going to be L plus x. Yes or no? I can
Yes,
write.
sir. Yes, sir.
I can write. Now I can write that dv is equal to k dq upon r. I'm not taking capital Q. I'm taking small q because I am considering only the charge in this small amount of dx. Okay, that will be a small amount of charge. So dq, and so it is having a distance k dq upon L plus x. L plus x. Okay, and now dq can be written as what? What can dq be written as? Fast, quickly. dq can be written as, in terms of charge density, we can write, right? So lambda is equal to q by L. So dq is equal to lambda into dl. Am I right? So I will substitute dq as lambda dl. I'll remove this dq. I will write dq as lambda dl. Lambda into dl. And what is dl over here? It's basically dx. Am I right? dl is what?
Yes, sir.
dx. So I will write dx. K lambda dx upon L plus x. So now what is going to be? You now tell, you can, I hope you all can do now the small integration. Okay, to find out v, what I will do, I'll just integrate it. So v is equal to, if v is equal to this, k lambda dx upon L plus x. Okay, sorry, dv is equal to this. So v is going to be equal to integration of k lambda dx upon L plus x. So please do this derivation. Please do this derivation, and we'll see. I'll see you in the next lecture. Okay, I'll see you in the next lecture. Try to do this derivation, and we'll try to do it in the next lecture. Okay.